Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, hello. How are we feeling? Let me do a temperature check and hello, everyone on Zoom. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Nikiko Masumoto. I'm Yonsei, and I have a workshop today that's going to involve a little bit of storytelling and then hopefully a lot of interaction. And the theme is queering family gatherings. Forgive me for my voice. I apologize. I have getting over losing my voice, so my voice is a little cracky, but that's okay. Okay, so I am in my car. I have just moved back home, which is in the Central Valley of California, one of the very prickly purple political spaces of California. And I am feeling super lonely for queer community. I grew up there. I knew coming back home would mean that I would have to be very brave and very creative to build a thriving, full life as a queer person. So I find myself alone in my car on a Friday night in front of a restaurant called the Elbow Room in Fresno. I think Charlene is there. I know from Fresno on Zoom. You might know that restaurant. And I have signed up to go to a lesbian mixer. And I am like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. But I'm like, okay, Nikiko, nothing's going to change if you don't get out of the car. So 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes, and if you don't like it, you can go home to the farm and, be with the peach trees and be alone. So I forced myself to get out of the car, and as I'm walking through the parking lot, who do I see? Someone who was a high school teacher when I was in high school who wasn't out to me. And it was one of those moments like, I knew it. I'm so happy. Yay, we're both here. And she hugged me, and so I knew everything was going to be okay. So I walk into this bar, and before I know it, I'm standing at the registration table, and they ask me what my name is. I spell my name, great. And they ask if I'm single, and I'm like, yes. And without knowing, they put a gold star on my name tag so that everybody knows that I'm single. And then I just walk into this open area where everybody is talking and laughing and just having a great time. And other than my high school teacher, who I don't really want to hang out with at a bar right now, I don't know a single person. And one person walked up to me and she said, "Are you here by yourself?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, we're going to fix that." And she grabs my hand and takes me around, introducing me to every single person that single as in not coupled person. But lo and behold, that introduction made me feel so welcome into a queer family space, and I'm using the word family in the biggest, widest sense. And lo and behold, that night, I would actually meet my future wife. And I share this story because I feel like we all have moments where we really need a welcome. We really need someone like that woman who walked up to a stranger, just caringly, lovingly asked if I was there by myself, and took it upon themselves to say, I'm going to make sure you're at least connected. So I share that because for me, that is part of the underlying theme of why I wanted to put together this workshop, Queering Family Gatherings, because I feel like a lot of times family spaces, in whatever definition we use the word family spaces, sometimes we default to convention and tradition, and we don't do that active person who says, hey, I care about you, let me make sure you're connected. I've been fascinated by this question of like, what makes people feel welcome? And I think there's a lot that we share, and there's also different things. Nobody is the same. I'll never forget, during the pandemic, I did like some informal interviews with some friends and colleagues that I was just missing, that I would used to run into at mixers and events and things like that. And so that was one of the questions that I asked people. It's like, what makes you feel welcome? And my friend Yashu, without hesitating, she said, it makes me feel welcome when people pronounce my name correctly. And that just really hit me. I was immediately taken back to 6th grade when a substitute teacher was going down the roll, and when she got to my name, she started laughing, and everyone in the class knew she was laughing at my name. Nikiko, I love my name. And those experiences are the exact opposite of that mixer where that woman walked up to me and introduced me. So this is why I think the power of gathering and how we construct how gatherings take place, they're so powerful. They have the ability to transform our lives, to give us the depth and gift of friendship, of community, of feeling like we belong, or they have the power to do the exact opposite. They have the power to make us feel unwanted, excluded, and not welcomed. So part of my journey home has been asking myself, what is my role in queering my own family gatherings? And I mean queering in the definition of the verbiage of making us free to explore gender and sexuality and desire and community, to heal and be whole. So today, I want to share a couple models of queering family gatherings with you all. And then I also want to hear what are some family gatherings, and again, defining family gatherings in the widest possible sense, not only biological family, not only family of ancestry, but chosen family, family of friendship. I want us to workshop together how we can make those spaces, design them in crafty, sneaky, creative, playful, daring ways so that more of us feel like we belong. I'm just going to check in with the chat here because I want to make sure the Zoomers, hello. Okay, great. I'm glad it's coming through. Casey, you're in Fresno. Okay, you can go to the elbow room for me and have a drink to me and my wife who met there. Okay, so I'm going to turn now to an example, a very, very personal example of queering a family gathering. So once I went to a baby shower and I found myself in front of this game where people asked everyone at the party to submit baby photos of themselves. And I had no idea what was going to happen. And at the party, you were supposed to guess whose baby photo was whom. But of course, that only works if you're in a racially homogenous group. And in fact, I would argue that the very structure of that game is absolutely white supremacist. So I was horrified and I left the party early. And so when my wife and I found out that we were expecting, I knew I wanted our baby shower to be the opposite of that experience. So I'm going to share an excerpt from our queer baby shower. So we were pregnant during the pandemic, and we strategically, for health reasons, but also strategically for the design of the event, did baby showers on Zoom. And the reason I share this is because I know that a lot of us turned to virtual during the pandemic because that's what was accessible. And I'm interested in this world now where we can do hybrid events of really trying to dig deep in asking questions of when virtual is not just an accessible thing, but actually there's more things you can do virtually than you can do in person sometimes. So this is an example, because the thing that was cool in family said, in our our family setting, I should be specific. My wife, Nicola Di Natale, and I, we were the first queer wedding on both sides of our family. There's some queer cousins in her family, which is amazing to have, but we were the first to have a big wedding with everybody. So there's this kind of idea of like we're testing the water for people in a way, asking people to show up for us explicitly in ways that they haven't before. So I was actually very happy that our baby shower was on Zoom, because the cool thing about Zoom is you can kick people out like pretty easily. If somebody like gets a little inappropriate, or you can mute people. Thankfully, we didn't have to do that. But I just want to remind ourselves, to the queer folks in the room, like, yeah, like use that power. Kick people out if they're not creating a welcoming environment. So these are a few pictures. This is my wife, Nicola. We had like a very fun journey. Once we were pregnant, getting pregnant was quite a task. And I also just want to make sure I make space. Pregnancy and birth is so potent and powerful. I know that it's a journey for a lot of people, and it doesn't always end in roses and joy. And so I just want to mark that. I carry that with me too. So we wanted to make sure that our baby was born into a family that had a little bit of idea of what our journey was like. So this is what we did. Welcome to The Price is Maybe Right, Baby Masamoto edition. So first I'll share, we did this in reality with our majority straight cisgendered families, and wonderfully, people left our baby showers saying, oh my gosh, I learned so much, which was like so our goal. And much to my wife's happiness, I wanted to like sit people down and like give them like a one-woman show about our experience. And she was like, no, you gotta like bait them with some fun. So that was our strategy. Now I wanna like make very plain, this is not the strategy, this is just a strategy. And I'm just sharing it because this is what we chose to do. Well, I will close with a welcome poem. This poem I debuted at Tuesday Night Cafe. Was it last summer? I think last summer. And I am super honored that this poem I submitted to the Okaeri anthology that will be coming out. I'm so honored to get to be a small part of that. So this is in the returning to how I began our session today, thinking about the power of welcoming ourselves into spaces, of dreaming up spaces that have yet to be created. So this poem is called A Long Welcome. You are welcome here. You who are present. You who are maybe daydreaming. You who are powering through a hard day, a hard week, a hard year. You who are full of curiosity and excitement, and you who carry the unknown and unsure. You who want to reach through the screen and hug someone. You who almost forgot to click on the link. You too, you are welcome. You who are familiar, friends, family, strangers, old and new, you are welcome. You who come with dreams of dancing on summer nights, of sweat and sequins, of reaching your palms to the sky. Was it in prayer? Or were you picking a perfect peach? Or were you getting down with your bad self? You who come with songs of love and liberation dancing on your tongue, you are welcome. You who come with enduring hearts, who are tired, who are missing someone, who have stood at the bedside, who have risen in the middle of the night, who have given the best care you could. You who have lost someone you love. You who have lost someone you never knew. You who are seeking renewal and connection. You who have given birth. You who are healers and brujas. You who are in need of rest or a vacation. You are welcome. You who share roots, you who are queer in the country, you who are queer in the city, you who are melanin blessed, you whose grandparents or great-grandparents loved and lived from the land, you who know the scent of home by heart, you whose ancestors endured, whose ancestors survived, whose ancestors' lands were stolen, whose ancestors were forced to work on stolen land, you who have lost your ancestors, you who invite your ancestors home every year to dance obonodori under swaying lanterns. You who come from lineages of workers and dreamers and makers and stewards, you whose stories I have yet to learn, you who come with longing, you who come with offerings, you who come with joy, you who work daily to make something special and meaningful of your one life, you who seek justice, you who keep hand-me-down recipes, you who are raising our children to love themselves. You who are seeking healing and relief. You who know failure. You who keep our kitchens full of our grandmother's stories. You who bake pies and cookies and make preserves and keep seeds and ferment vegetables. And you who wash our dishes and clean up our shit. You who I love fiercely. You who I do not yet know how to love. You and you. You and you. You and you. You in the Zoom room. You are welcome. You are welcome. We are welcome. Thank you for sharing this beautiful space with me. And a shout out, thank you to my mom who is watching my child right now so I could be here. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of your experience. Thank you, Zoom room.